Brighton Beach Busking presents
Samuel, Jake, Josh, Bronte, Ian, Oscar. Welcome to
the Busking Break.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Oh, nice.
The show where we interview your favourite Brighton Beach Buskers, finding out the stories behind the musicians that sound our streets.
I try everything to a very average level.
Music is. I mean, if it had been the Olympics, it would have been a gold medal.
Make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you do not miss an episode. So come with us and be part of this journey. Hello and welcome to the Busking Break here at the Works Pier. Today we spoke to Samuel Ashton. It was a really inspiring conversation, so I hope you enjoy it. Samuel.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very, very well, thanks.
Good,
Thanks
thank
for having
you.
me, yeah.
Thank you for asking. Thank you for coming on the Busking Break. So, you're a guitar player, absolutely incredible vocalist.
Thank you so much.
How did your journey as a musician start? How did you begin? Why did you begin? And how did you get here?
Well, that's a very good question, obviously. And I kind of have a little anecdote that people ask me when I started. Because music, before it became music and before it became something that I was consciously doing, it was like a game for a young child, basically. My parents had bought me a little speaker. This is back in the 90s. It had a tape deck on it, 2 tapes, and a microphone that you could plug into it. And I used to raid my parents' tape collection. My dad had hundreds and hundreds of cassette tapes, all handwritten. Some of them recorded off the radio and stuff, or recorded off of his vinyl collection that he had. So I'd get these tapes and put the tape in one side. I do remember trying very hard to sing "Let's Stay Together" by Al Green, because back before puberty, I could hit all those high notes easy. You know? And then I put a fresh empty tape in the other side and try to record my voice over the top. And I was about 6 or 7 doing this. And then I do remember sometimes where my cousins had gotten hold of it and I'd go to listen back to what I'd recorded and it would be my cousin doing stupid voices over it. I'm I've lost what I've done. But yeah, I guess the first time I realised that I could actually sing and I had any kind of sort of talent for it was I'd done a karaoke when I was probably about 12 or 13 and we were on holiday somewhere, and I did a song and I came back to the table. My father was just scowling at me like this and I thought, what have I done now? And he looked at me and went, what was that? And I was thinking, God, was I that bad? And he was like, that was really good. And he sat down and said, I did not know that you could sing like that, and that's actually very good. And obviously when you get that sort of approval from a parent, then you think, oh, maybe I'm quite good at it then. But it wasn't until a little bit later, my younger brother started playing the guitar and me and him started making songs together, and then we started playing with other people, started doing bands and things. But all that time, I only sang for a long, long time, and it wasn't until later I started picking up the instruments.
Okay, cool. So you start to pick up the guitar. I understand that you've kind of travelled, and that experience was when you kind of maybe found the guitar, maybe found the instruments.
Yeah, well, before I'd kind of relied a lot on other musicians, and I'd always written songs and poetry. My dad's side of the family, they've got an old Irish clan called the original name is Old Malconair, but they're the Conroy clan, and their coat of arms is a scroll and a quill, so they'd always been writers for a long, long time. So yeah, I was always into language and writing. So I wrote songs, but I didn't play any instruments. And that was great, you know, growing up, experimenting with other musicians. But more and more I got kind of wanting to do my own and be in charge of my own creativity. And at first I played bass and I played in a band back then. But then, yeah, when I went away travelling, I didn't have anyone else to play with me. I ran out of money, so busking seemed like a good idea. So I got myself a little nylon string guitar, and my guitar playing then was very, very basic. But I travelled around, mostly in Latin America, for about 4 years.
Wow.
And a lot of that was you doing busking or playing at restaurants and things. So gradually I, you know, improved my skills as a guitarist and more sort of found the sound that I'm working on and developed, and it's through the time it's kind of coming full circle back to what I always wanted to do, because I started off as a little 6 or 7 year old singing Al Green.
Yeah.
I went through all the rock and roll and everything else that everyone does as a teenager, and now I'm back to soul music.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So your first kind of venture into busking was whilst travelling?
Yeah, I think it was actually, yeah. So actually, before I'd ever busked in the UK, I'd busked in several countries all around the world.
Really? Like where have you busked?
Well, like I said, all through Latin America, and there was one very memorable experience of busking in San Salvador, in El Salvador, in which, even for Latino standards, the money I made was very little. It was about $1.25 or something. However, I was near this market, and by the end of playing, you couldn't see the bottom of my guitar case because I had big plantain, I had mangoes, papayas. The whole thing was full of fruit and vegetables where all of the local traders had come to, you know, share. And I was like, this is better than money because I don't need to go shopping now. But it was heavy to carry back. So a lot of different places there. I used to play at bars and restaurants in Mexico where you kind of earn a little bit better, especially down in the Yucatan where they have lots of tourists and things. And then also in the USA, I did quite a bit of busking, which was sort of very consistent, especially because back then I didn't have any amplifier or anything. So you always made at least $50 in a couple of hours.
Wow.
So it was quite good. It'd be interesting to see how well it would go with what I do now, with a full setup and everything. It was a great experience. So I guess I had confidence when I came back to the UK to do it from there. But I'm doing it more now, seeing as I've started doing music full time. So it's a good way to fill up the days when you're not gigging or doing other things like talking to BBB.
Epic. So how, like, you bust in the UK?
Yeah.
You bust here in Brighton?
Yeah.
How does it sort of compare to other places? Well, as in busking here in Brighton?
Brighton's a really great place to busk because you have so many different people with different backgrounds and different walks of life and different age groups and everything, but they're kind of all united by a common theme of being happy people who want to spread good vibes around and are open to creativity. There's so many arts here, art and music and literature and everything. It's always been known as a place like that, and it's becoming more and more so for both good and bad reasons. But it reminds me of San Francisco. So it's like a British San Francisco, which for all the good reasons, like the creativity and the alternative lifestyles, like I mentioned, but as Brighton's getting bigger and bigger, you see the other problems as well. Like in San Francisco, they have homelessness problems and drug problems, and that's gradually getting more here, but that's again, is only because it's a nice place to be. So
Uh-huh.
those people come here, like they do in San Francisco, because they know they're going to meet nice people and they're not going to be, you know, ousted from society like they are in other places. But yeah, there's always responsive people when you play music.
Yeah. It's so really like part of the community. I feel like music, art, culture, and busking somewhere within that.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
really
Well, like even the local council, they welcome buskers.
Uh-huh.
You know, not every place is like that. So.
Yeah, which leads me to the question of: do you think that Brighton and Hove Council could do more for busking, or do you appreciate what they do?
Well, I think that the council, in my experience, have always been very, very polite, and they, well, at least the representatives that they've sent my way, or that have come my way, have always been very polite and very keen to keep buskers playing. And obviously, the only thing is that councils also have to, you know, appease local businesses or local homeowners or local residents who might not appreciate the noise, and that's something that is not unique to Brighton, and that is a problem all around the country, because in my view, there's a little bit too much power. If you own a building or you just live in a building and one person makes one complaint, it doesn't matter that there's hundreds or thousands of people that want that busker there.
Yeah.
Oh, but so-and-so lives there, or they have a shop there, therefore they've got the power more so than all the 100 people standing there watching to complain. But you have those things all around wherever you go, and in my experience, there'll always be someone who's disgruntled by it, and for every one of those, there's always many others who are quite appreciative. And I mean, I try to always be accommodating for other people as much as possible, because it's all about live and let live, and peace and love, man, in Brighton.
It's well
so, you know, I think Brighton is a good example in comparison with other places. They're doing the best they can to keep Brighton live and alive for music. So
yeah, it's a good place.
yeah.
It is. This is a deep question, if you want it to be. What is music to you?
Music is medicine. Yeah, I have a song actually called Medicine Music, and like I was saying about travelling in Latin America, I spent a lot of time with indigenous groups, with my own spirituality based partly on my background, partly on just how I connect with the earth and with life in general. When I was young, I was sort of on a spiritual quest to connect with these ancient ways, and so I spent a lot of time with indigenous groups in Latin America, where music really is medicine, as in when they do these ceremonial practices, they have chants and they have healing sessions where they have rhythmic percussions, or even just the chants with their voice. And even in South America, like some of the tribal groups, they've adopted the use of harmonicas, which they play not in the traditional way that we would. It's completely different, and you can see exactly how it's being used as a healing, and sound healing is a very real thing. So I think music, in the traditional sense that we know it as Westerners and stuff, is slightly different from that, but it still can connect with people to be a source of healing and medicine. So for me, singing and playing it, that's a medicine for me, but also that can connect with other people, and that's the most touching thing for me, when people have got something out of my music. So my latest track, Breathe Easy, is all about using the breath to overcome any situation and have stillness in the face of adversity.
Wow.
So breath and breathing is just my one message for me that I like to try to share with people, because people are the world is a stressful place, and people can be very stressed, especially they have job commitments, they have families, they've got a commute to work, and if they're there without breathing, and all that stress is building up in their body. So if I can just help a few people to breathe easy, then I'll try it.
Wow, that's really cool. Really introspective and I don't know, a really good answer.
Oh,
I
thank
will
you.
say.
I tried my
That's
best.
really cool. Is there something you're working on at the moment that we can expect in the future that you can maybe talk about?
Well, I'm sort of in the process of releasing an EP. It is out on CD, but there's only 2 tracks so far that are available digitally, with another 3 to come. So, in terms of Brighton, I've got a show here 28th of May at the Prince Albert.
Cool.
Supporting a band called T-Belly.
Cool.
A local blues band, like blues rock. Guy's got a kind of gravelly, husky voice, a bit sort of Tom Waits-esque.
Cool.
And then I'm planning on organising a vinyl release show. I'm going to do one in Canterbury as like the primary one, as that's where I base music. I'll be having Josh McGill as the main support, as the drummer for a band called Siddhartha.
Okay.
And once I've done that, I'd like to do a vinyl release show in Brighton. And in the meantime, with the new lineup of the band, we're working on new songs, so that hopefully by the time this whole release process with the new EP is done, we might be ready to release some new music.
Awesome.
Working on a song called Holy River and one called Fly On. It's called for now. That might change.
Cool.
So don't quote me on that. But so just generally trying to promote the new music and to reach new audiences. And I've been spending lots of time in London and also Brighton, because they're 2 places that are not, they're sort of next on the map from Kent, where I'm based, and also they've both places where there's a good audience for the music that I'm making. So it's been really nice.
Can you tell us a story or a time that's significant when you've been busking? Something that stands out?
Well, there's lots and lots of beautiful moments and beautiful times that happen. I've had lots of interactions with young children or sometimes older people who come and say very touching things, or will share something other than money with you. Like people have put artwork in there and things like that when they haven't had money. One of them sat there and drew a picture of me.
Awesome.
Oh, I don't have money, but here's a picture.
Wow.
So those type of things are all very, very beautiful, and sort of the connection you have with people whilst busking. And sometimes there's other funny or crazy things where you get approached by people who may not really realise what you're doing, and they kind of interrupt what you're doing, or they want to get on the microphone, or all of this type of thing. Recently also sometimes the things tie in with the music and the moment, and it feels like quite a beautiful synchronicity. And one of those happened a couple of weeks ago. I did a bit of busking in Lewis, which is a really, really nice place, beautiful there. It was a very, very sunny day, and they've got a bridge that goes over the river, and it was so peaceful. I was playing all very laid back stuff, and I was busking on the river. And I'd been there for a little while, and I decided that I was, gonna go home, and this would be my last song. So I played my own song, Holy River, which I thought was very fitting given that it was on the river and the sun was still shining. And as I got towards the end of the song, someone had put a £5 note in the case and it was weighed down with coins, so I thought it was quite safe in there. And so towards the end of the song, the Holy River, there's the £5 note literally just flew up in the air and it started doing the most beautiful somersaults. I mean, if it had been the Olympics, it would have been a gold medal. But and it was like just out of reach above the river, and it hung in the air for what felt like forever, doing all of these twists and turns and ducking and diving before it eventually floated, landed down straight on the river. You saw the Queen's head floating down under the bridge, and I thought, well, there goes the £5. And I thought, well, I'm paying a holy tax to the Holy River in Lewes, so you know, those type of things happen in life, and I'm better off taking the blessing from it than worrying about losing £5.
Awesome.
But yeah, there's always special, beautiful moments
so cool.
like that.
So cool.
That's awesome. Let the people know where they can find you.
Oh right, well, pretty much anywhere that you choose to listen to music, you can find Samuel Ashton on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, especially on the Brighton Busking channel. Yeah, and any of the platforms, Apple Music, just typing in Samuel Ashton, or on Instagram if you want to stay in touch, Facebook, those type of things. Yeah, you can find it in all of those places.
Awesome. Well, thank you for
Thank you so
talking.
much.
Thank you for being on the Busking Break.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you for watching the Busking Break here on the Brighton Beach Busking YouTube channel. If you haven't already, then please click subscribe, like this video, and hit the notifications bell so you know when videos have been posted. Go and check out our busking guests. All their links are in the description. I have been your host, August Radio Project. If you're a musician, creative, and you like challenges, or you need some tips and tricks, then go and check out my YouTube channel, also linked in the description. Thank you to Works for welcoming us to the Works Pier and believing in the project. If you're a creative looking for workspace in Brighton, contact Works through the details in the description. They offer co-working, craft space, sound studios, offices, meeting rooms, and more. Also, thank you to Mug Time for the wonderful mugs. You can find the link to their Amazon shop in the description below. And thank you to you for watching the Busking Break. And I'm sure I will see you in the next one. Thank you.